A man with a gaping hole in his face invited paramedics inside, acting as if he felt no pain. While bandaging him, the medic asked about the cause. He claimed his gun misfired while he was cleaning it. However, she noticed a red flag. His face had no gunpowder burns, proving it wasn't a close-range shot. She then spotted a young boy nearby, his arm injured and looking terrified, even as Slow as her should have seen the problem by now. She asked the boy if he saw his father cleaning the gun. He nodded silently.
Yeah. Did you hurt your arm? Daddy's gonna jump back when you pull the trigger, didn't he? Yeah, and shoot yourself.
It was an accident.
He hadn't been watching his son during a bath, but insisted it wasn't the boy's fault. Since his wife passed away a year ago, they only had each other. Terrified of losing custody, he taught the boy to lie. He begged the medic to hide the truth, swearing on the rest of his life to be more careful. Just then, the police arrived.
Everything okay in here?
Damn.
I guess they did hear a shot.
That is a GSW, right?
Yep,
In the chin, out the cheek.
exactly.
Anyone else home?
Nope. Gun's in the lockbox locked.
So what the hell happened?
I don't know.
The medic intervened, claiming the man couldn't speak and needed immediate transport. The police had no choice but to leave, stunned by her mercy. The man's eyes filled with tears of silent gratitude. Do you think the paramedic did the right thing? A man hit someone with his car but refused to get out, only stepping out slowly when he heard the sirens. He claimed he had suddenly gone blind.
I've gone blind! Help me, I'm blind!
Easy.
While the medic examined him, the cop asked if he had been binge-watching short videos all night. The man stubbornly denied it, claiming he'd only been watching for 24 hours when his vision suddenly vanished. However, his pupil response was clear. The police suspected he was just playing dumb and suggested a couple of days in jail would cure him. The medic, however, feared the sudden blindness signaled a serious medical issue and insisted on a hospital checkup. A female medic felt they were overcomplicating things.
So sorry to interrupt, but I have a serious issue myself. Ogle, will you take a look at my chest? Because I didn't layer up properly and I'm afraid that I'm getting frostbite. Yeah.
The man's eyes instantly widened, staring straight ahead. His blindness was miraculously cured. At this point, any further words were unnecessary. By faking an injury to dodge hit-and-run charges, he only made it worse. Now, only fines and prison time await him. The lift failed, pinning the young man repairing the car underneath. Two vehicles were stacked on him in an eerie position. He tried to push them off, but the weight was overwhelming. The medic found the car pressing against his diaphragm. He could still breathe, but broken ribs were a high possibility. Firefighters brought in airbags while trying to stabilize the vehicles. However, just as they placed the bags,
Jocks are going! Maine! ETA on that squad company!
Squad 2, 5 minutes out.
the medic urged him to stay awake and keep a clear head. As the airbags inflated, the man got a moment of relief. The firefighters moved quickly to pull him out.
Look out! Matt!
Luckily, the two were caught in a narrow gap and escaped being crushed. He was rescued smoothly with no visible wounds, then handed over to the doctors at the hospital. The firefighter made it out as well. It was a close call, but the mission was finally a success.
Hey, nice save, Lieutenant.
Debris kept falling from the building. The onlookers below acted like their lives were too long, still hanging around to watch the excitement. A female driver pulled over to the curb, a construction gondola broke loose, its iron frame smashed the car roof flat. Fortunately, the woman survived, but her friend in the back seat was too severely injured and was directly called back by God. As firefighters were about to rescue the woman, the gondola above was dangling precariously.
Get back!
Luckily, there was no one in the car that just got hit. Firefighters quickly began cutting the vehicle, removing the door, placing a neck brace on the woman. Just as they pulled her out, a large pane of glass fell.
Come down for me. Move her out now!
Fortunately, they moved fast enough. At that moment, a mother ran over, anxiously asking about her daughter's condition. The firefighter was somewhat speechless because a girl in the car had already passed away. He didn't know which one the mother was looking for until she mentioned the hair color.
She's okay. She's right over there.
Julie! That's my daughter!
But what will happen when the other mother hears the news? The foundation of a newly built building collapsed, causing 3 workers to fall straight down. Firefighters set up a ladder and used a rescue bag to slide to the bottom. 2 workers sustained minor injuries and were quickly rescued. However, an elderly worker fell directly into the basement. His leg was pinned by a heavy stone. He couldn't move. A firefighter crawled through the opening, but the stone was too heavy to budge. They had no choice but to enlarge the hole and lower rescue equipment. But the rescue effort caused the foundation to shake again. Luckily, there were no further casualties. At this point, the old man began coughing up blood and begged the firefighter to amputate his leg.
You're gonna have to do it. Take off the foot. Get me out of here. Get me home.
Tell that surgeon to hurry the hell up!
Chopper him here if you have to. Negative 61. Your trauma surgeon's already en route.
They faced the constant threat of a secondary collapse. Despite the firefighters' urgent pleas for a surgeon to arrive faster, time ran out. The old man didn't make it. The firefighter stared at his hands in deep thought. Life is truly fragile. Later, he visited the man's home and gave the final video he recorded to his wife. We never know which will come first, tomorrow or an accident. While we are all still here, be kind to those around you. He was launched like a cannonball, smashing straight through a truck container. Even the firefighters were stunned. Earlier, a multi-car pileup rocked an intersection, and the culprit was a motorcycle. It ran a red light at 70 miles per hour, but the rider had vanished.
Oh boy.
Firefighters climbed a ladder to investigate and shouted, but there was only silence inside. They cut the lock to open the doors, only to find the container packed with cargo. If they waited to unload everything, the man would be dead as a doornail. They immediately pivoted, deciding to enter through the very hole the man had created. After clearing the obstructing goods, they finally found the man buried deep inside, with an open, comminuted fracture in his lower leg. It was a miracle he survived. Luckily, he was wearing a helmet. It's safe to say motorcycles will be his biggest psychological shadow from now on. After securing him, they moved him out, but the man suddenly began to convulse so violently that several firefighters couldn't hold him down. They had to administer a sedative before rushing him to the hospital. So, who do you think is responsible for the destroyed container? His size 13 foot was impaled on the fence, leaving him hanging upside down and screaming for help. Paramedics rushed over. Luckily, his foot wasn't pierced, but he had an open fracture on his lower leg.
Okay, call it. 1, 2, 3.
He shrieked like a slaughtered pig before being laid flat on the ground. As the medic splinted his leg, she noticed something odd. His right hand was covered in blood, but he had no hand injuries. From his hanging position, he couldn't have touched his bleeding leg. Ignoring warnings, she smashed the lock of the nearby house and ran inside. A woman knelt at the door, her face frozen in terror. Her back was covered in deep gashes, with blood splattered across the floor. As they peeled back her clothes, the sight of the jagged wounds was heart-wrenching. They rushed to stop the bleeding and asked what happened.
The guy robbed her and stabbed her.
61 to Maine, we need a second ambo and police backup now.
The medic called for police support. As the woman was helped into the ambulance, the man was left wailing on the ground, completely ignored.
Our patient says that this guy robbed and stabbed her.
Let's click him up.